Welcome to the Let's Talk Food podcast, where we have deep conversations about anything and everything surrounding with food. I'm your host, April Fontenot. Welcome to the show, guys. Happy Wednesday, happy hump day. Today's going to be a great day, guys. But if you're a new listener, welcome to the show. You have tuned in to the best podcast in the land. Not the wrong podcast, but the best podcast where we love one another and support one another. And you've joined a community of like-minded folk from food lovers, art lovers, science lovers, health junkies, entrepreneurs, you name it, guys. The Let's Talk Food podcast is where it's at. But welcome to the show. We have listeners tuning in from all over the world, guys. So if you're new and tuning in on the YouTube channel, welcome. I have done just a short list of virtual shows, but there are plenty of episodes you can go back and binge listen to, guys, on any platform out there from Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, Podbean, any podcast platform, guys, you name it. The Let's Talk Food podcast is where it's at. But welcome to the show, guys. I have a great show for you today, but just wanted to get a feel for the listeners, like I always do, new listeners. That's what we do here on the Let's Talk Food podcast. And we just talk about anything and everything surrounded with food. So yes, it is discussing recipes from time to time, but there are also other topics that I would like to get into. And for season 3, I mentioned on the last episode, I wanted to keep it in the realm of psychology of food, guys. There'll be different topics that I'll be discussing and want to make it kind of fun, So yeah, big thing on that. Gosh, guys, I have had a great week so far. If you tuned in on last episode, I mentioned that my one of my sons just turned 5. Isn't that cool, guys? Just turned 5, and he is having a great birthday. And this little guy is really funny because he always is one of the kids that has an extended birthday. And I'm like, that's not fair. But, his birthday is in the summer. I wish my other son's birthday is in that time. But for some reason, this little guy, he just likes to party. So we've had some fun stuff happen. And I did something different that I haven't did in quite some time, guys. I actually got a chance to bake in my homemade birthday cake. Isn't that cool? A homemade red velvet birthday cake. And check it out, guys, on my social handles. I posted before and after photos of before with the candle, and it was looking beautiful, and then after when they kind of dug into it, right? But yeah, Richard is having a great birthday, guys. We also had a chance to check out this really cool little swim park yesterday. I had so much fun. The summer has been quite different because my husband is working full time. New listeners, you don't know, I have a food delivery and catering service, Coopie's American Cuisine and Seafood, right here in Houston, Texas. And by the way, I am a native Houstonian, a mother of 4, and I have a bonus son. So my life is pretty busy. When I'm not doing the catering and food delivery, I am a mom at heart, guys. So that is the reason why I'm so excited for the summer outing that we had. Visited a nice little park. They had slides and waterfalls. It was so cute, guys. And I actually got a chance to hop in with them, get my hair wet, get wet, and I was like, woo, so excited. So we had so much fun yesterday, guys. But Richard is having a great birthday, and I'm sure we'll have some more festivities coming up this week that I'll share with you guys. But yeah, fun fact on that, Richard's birthday is going great. Another interesting thing I saw, now if you tuned in to last episode, I was speaking about Devon Franklin and his new fiance Maria Castillo, right, guys? So I had a chance to check out her Instagram page, and it is lovely. She is a celebrity fitness trainer, if you don't know, new listeners. And I have been on this health kick where I made a plunge, a challenge for us to stop binge eating first and foremost from last episode, but I also decided I'm going to do the 21-day challenge, guys. So yeah, if you're starting this challenge with me to stop binge eating, get on that healthy kick, let's do our 21-day challenge. Yay! Let's get fit, let's get right. And most people do it before the summer, but for me, I'm a busy mom. I have other, a lot of things going on in the background other than being a mom and the podcast. So I got to find some time, guys, in between. Now, I have been walking with my daughter, when I can, doing that, but I want to start doing the weights and getting into more of workout routine, right? So I'm going to start that, but that's what we're going to do, guys. And also, I saw a really interesting clip the other day. I was in my email or something I was on, and it was on essence.com. So remember those shows I was talking about last episode with the sisters and Zatima? Well, I remember the star actor, guys, and I don't know for the life of me, I could not remember his name the other day. Devale Ellis and his wife Khadeen Ellis, they have always been so open and transparent with their marriage and their relationship goals and the funny videos with their children. Over the years, they've had 4 sons in total, so they used to do these funny videos on YouTube. And Devale was always into acting, and he was also a NFL player. His wife is more behind the scenes, but now, some years ago, they started their own podcast and have just made it big, guys. I saw the clip. Where I'm going with this, he has always been this very vulnerable, great husband. They were talking about on the clip how even though they're in the spotlight, they've gotten to that point in life where they want to be. It's not always peaches and cream. It's not always easy. And even though they're out here helping people achieve their relationship goals, he admitted that it's very exhausting and that it's not all that it's cracked out to be. Which is not very surprising. I don't know if you guys are surprised about that. I wasn't very surprised or shocked because I've heard their story. Black Love, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that, used to come on, and I forget the lady's name for some reason today, but her and her husband, they had this, and I don't know if they're still doing, because I know she has a podcast now, The Mama's Den, but they were interviewing celebrity black couples, and Devale and his wife Khadeen, before he became or reached the height that he is now, they had another interview where he was vulnerable about how he just loves his wife, guys. So I think that's very great. I think it's very interesting, and I just love when men can show their emotions and let it all out, you know? And I think a lot of guys out here should do the same. You don't have to always be macho for us, guys. We like when you get a little vulnerable. You can show your feelings, break it down, let us know what you're going through. It helps. It helps us to help you with mental health, guys. I mean, mental health is so important. And I always talk about that, new listeners. I love to talk about our mental health, our health, everything that's related to food, that realm, that circle around it. That's what I'm here for, guys. I'm here to enlighten you, uplift you, and just make you feel good, guys. But yeah, that interview, gotta check it out. Essence.com. He was stating how tough it is, and he's exhausted. And when I saw that, I was like, poor guy. And his wife, she's always so supportive and just there, and have admitted that they've had relationship issues. He's even tried to step out on her, and there was some infidelity in the beginning when they were much younger. But it's tough, guys. And if you're married, I'm married, any of you that are planning to be married, just remember that it's okay to, like I said earlier, express yourselves, be vulnerable with one another, love one another, help each other, guys. You know, because life is too short to hide and our feelings or not let each other know what's going on in our everyday lives. And that's something that I have to work on in my marriage. And I know, and I don't like to get too personal with my marriage, but it's something that I need to work on as well. My husband, he's not very good with communicating, and it's making it a little tough. So I've spoken with him about that. And if you're in that same boat, you're having that same issue in your marriage, I don't know. I try to attend like marriage classes with church and watch a lot of different the couples, you know, just find some positive things to look at or read, help you with that, guys. And if it just gets too crazy, then we always know we can get a little therapy. But yeah, that's my 2 cents. I don't want to get too much off topic, but check it out, guys. Devale, Devale Ellis, and his wife Khadeen Ellis Essence.com. And new listeners, I always like to post everything in the show notes on every platform. So everything that I'm referencing, it will be there for you to take a look and get into it, guys. So yeah, tonight our topic that we're hopping into is the flavor of tradition, why food shapes our culture. Interesting. Now, I was really excited about this one because I was sitting and thinking, and I always knew listeners like to come up with episode topics, and whatever I'm thinking at the moment, I feel that's relevant to the show or just going to be pretty interesting or good, you know. But this one was pretty heartfelt. It's down home. It touched me. I always sit and think about, do our environments influence the way that we eat? Our cultures, does it influence the way that we have our family gatherings and the foods that we choose or food choices that we make? Is that something that's tied to our culture? So I got pretty excited when I thought about that. I said, aha, that's a very good topic. So yeah, we're going to hop into that tonight. And new listeners, if I am referencing articles, I like to reference what I'm reading from. And the article that I found pretty interesting. It's not from an actual magazine per se, but I found this on lifestyle.sustainability, guys. It's a directory. So again, all of this will be in the show notes for you to reference to if you're not able to find it tonight when I'm hopping into that article. But yeah, great stuff, guys. Speaking of that, our culture is different, but this can be very controversial at times because some folk out here think because you're African American or black, or we always eat fried chicken and collard greens and cornbread. Or if you're Asian American or Asian or Japanese, Korean, you're always eating shrimp fried rice and noodles, right? Or if you're from the African heritage, you're eating fufu and doing all these crazy things. But I'm here to tell you guys, everyone has different family structures. We all have our different cultures. Now, some of those stereotypes can be true because, yes, my culture, I'm African American Louisiana Creole. So, yes, I do eat fried chicken. I like collard greens. I like cornbread. I like the candy yams. But, guys, that is not the only thing that we're out here eating. And I don't always make those meals or dishes for my family. So if you're out here being ignorant to the fact, you're just out of this world and you're just not hip to what's going on. So, like I said, I wanted to dive into that and I got very excited. I know you guys are very excited about it as well, but let me know what you think about that, guys. You can hop on any of my platforms out there, new listeners. The faithful listeners, thank you. They know where to go. But again, check those show notes. If you're listening on audio, you can definitely find all my information. Let me know what you think. Send me an email as well, april38@outlook.com. I want to know what you think, guys. So, yeah, anyway, but great show for you tonight, guys. We are definitely going to hop into it. And I don't know, when I think about culture and our families, I always think about when I was growing up, or a few things that's always stuck in my mind or sticks with me until today. I always remember when I would visit my dad. And by the way, guys, my mom and dad, they split up when we and my sister were very young. And then my mom had a other sister, another relationship later. New listeners, by the way, this show is inspired by my late great mom. If you don't know, she did pass away in 2020 during the height of the pandemic. She's not here, and I just do this show to keep her spirit alive. But anyhow, she and my dad, they split rather, and sister and I would go to our dad's when we did. And I remember very vividly, guys, how my mother-in-law, his wife today, she's a great cook, and she would always make dinners and make some of the foods that I stated earlier. She did the hot water cornbread, the great meals. But when my dad would make certain, and when we're children, we don't like our beans or vegetables, and he always would have us eat black eyed peas, guys. Not so much always on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, but I remember sometimes he would make it with the meals. And when I was a young girl, despised black eyed peas. I just didn't like them. They were not something, or it wasn't a dish that I was excited to eat, rather. And I can remember he would make me sit at that table, guys, until I was in tears, crying, trying to make me eat them. And he always say, "April, eat your black eyed peas. They're good luck. Don't cry. What are you crying for? It's not going to hurt you." And I would just be like, "I can't." And I would hold the peas, black eyed peas in my mouth and almost gag. And the funny thing where I'm going with this, guys, is my eldest daughter, I have a 14-year-old daughter, by the way, new listeners. She is the same. She's very picky with her foods, and a lot of my kids are. And I can't remember what it was. It may have been beans, because she doesn't like beans, by the way. But the same scenario. And she's sitting at the table, and she doesn't want the beans, and her eyes are swelling up with tears. And it dawned on me. I was like, oh my gosh, guys, this is the culture. This is my family culture, the tradition that was passed down. My dad forced me to eat peas, and now I'm forcing you to eat the beans, right? So yeah, something to think about. And then with my mom, she wasn't as strict as my dad was with family meals, but she would always make her certain meals. And my mom, she had a different um, eye, or different taste buds rather, than my dad. She was more so on international foods. I know she had friends from the African culture. We would eat the fufu and the oxtails and the goat. And then sometimes she would make soul food for us, or just American dinners. So I remember that with my mom. It was a different structure. Both sides, it was different, so that is how I came up, and why I cook certain dishes that I do today. So that's where we're going with the show tonight. Just because you're African American or Asian or Chinese or whatever culture you are, doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to eat the foods that we hear about stereotypically in the news or in articles or see in our history books at school, right? So yeah, fun thing, right? But yeah, share with me, guys, how was your family structure? What are you accustomed to? Do you still pass down those those traditions to your children? And if you don't have children, do you still use those in your everyday lives as a single person or with your significant other or your spouses or your husband or wife? I want to know, guys. So, like I said, don't be shy out there. Use those platforms. Email me, make some comments. I want to know who you are, guys. I say this on every episode because I'm getting the downloads. I'm having people viewing the show, but I don't know, for some reason, the cat has still got your tongue, guys. I am not going to bite. I love communicating with you guys. I love bringing these shows and these episodes to you on this platform. I like making people feel good about themselves. I've had testimonials about how people are eating differently. They're doing different things with their health because of the show. And I'm excited about that. So don't be afraid to step out there, guys. And another thing I always like to state, new listeners, if you are in this space where you are not quite sure where you want to be, and I was like that as well, guys. It took me, oh gosh, about 7 years to start this podcast, to go out on a limb and do the food delivery and catering service because I procrastinated. I worried about what people would think and what they would say, or this idea is bad, or they're not gonna like that, or you're not a chef, or your whatever you're talking about is not interesting. But I'm here to tell you guys, I've been called all types of things. And I saw this post on Instagram, and I'm on Instagram quite a lot, guys. I do Facebook, I do Instagram, TikTok. So a lot of the times I am referencing what I'm seeing out there. But there was this post, and I forget her name, guys. I'm so sorry, but I think she's a doctor or so. But she always gets like these uplifting and inspirational posts, just to help those that feel uncomfortable right now. But the post that she made was about people calling her weird, and if I tell you, I resonated with that post and video. I got excited because I have always been called weird, or you're not like us, or you do everything different. And I like that because that made me who I am today. That shaped and molded the person that I am today. If I wasn't in this weird space and I followed everybody and what they did and followed the norms, I go against the norms. I'm a rebel at heart. I don't like to follow the latest trends all the time. I know sometimes we have to, do that to keep everything relevant. But when you want to be unique and different and stand out from the crowd, be weird, guys. Don't be afraid to have that weirdness. And I commented on her post, and I feel so bad, guys. My oldest daughter, she is like this super, I don't want to call her weird, but she's out there. She's totally different. They've called me weird in different space, but she's not afraid to express herself. And when she does her hair, and she's very artsy dartsy, she's into art, but when she's ready to express herself, you're gonna know it. And I found myself guilty, and I felt so bad. I thought about that not only when I saw the video or post the other day, but it kind of made me a little sad because I was like, well, that's not fair, April. You're sitting here and critiquing your daughter and telling her how she should wear her hair and don't do this and don't do that. And sometimes I think it makes her a little sad. So I apologize to her, and I felt really bad. I had to think about my childhood and my upbringing and when I was coming up in school and when I was teased for being the outcast or wearing a different type of clothing. And sometimes, guys, I'll remember my mom, like I said, she was single because my mom and dad split and she never married or went as far for us to have another father figure. I mean, she had friends and stuff, of course, which I guess she just got to the point where she was like, I want to be married, but I'm not. But anyhow, when we were coming up, we were not the richest family, It wasn't that I couldn't wear name brand or have the nicest things, but again, I was a rebel. I'm different. I didn't want to fit in. I didn't want to wear the Air Jordans. I didn't want to wear the latest fads. So I would get made fun of a lot at school. And I remember one time my sister laughed so hard. I even went as far, I didn't even realize that I had bought, I think it was like Converse or something. And when I tell you guys, they were from, and we used to have this store here. If you're from Houston, Texas, you know what I'm talking about. Payless, guys. It was like a shoe store if you could not, and I won't say could not afford, but if you were not into the name brand or latest fashion, you just wanted some good shoes, this was like a really good store, a small store. They had a franchise or chain of stores, and I don't know if it was beyond Houston, but I liked that store a lot. I would go there for my church shoes, and I even got so excited I bought some tennis shoes, and my sister made so much fun of me. And I wore them to school. And I got laughed at so hard and it felt so bad, guys. So where I'm going with this is I understand my daughter's pain when I do that to her because she doesn't wear off-brand things. She's totally different on that. She has to have the finest things and she doesn't care how much it costs because everybody's gonna buy it. But when she does the outfits, her hair, she's putting all these bows and doing all these artsy dartsy things. And like I said, I found myself critiquing her and saying, well, I don't like that. And she likes to wear her hair in the two ponytails. Now she's 14, guys. Remember that. And I'm like, well, and her name is Zion, by the way, guys. I'm like, Zion, do you have to wear the two ponytails? I don't like that style. Or do you have to put all the butterflies and the bows and yada, 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 yada? And she's just like, Mom, why are you saying that? And she looks all sad. And I was like, oh, God. And then I go back and think about, how I made her feel. And I'll apologize. So where I'm going with this, like I said, once again, if you're weird, you have a kid that you feel is weird or in a different space, let them be who they are. Let them express themselves because you never know. They may be that next president or politician or doctor or lawyer or TV personality or podcaster or YouTuber. Let them be different because weird and different is what's in, guys. And I'm here to tell you, no shame in my game. Yes, I've been called weird. I've been called different. And that's why I do the Let's Talk Food because I like food. That's what I like. I love my craft. I love to make people happy, make their stomachs happy, make them feel good. And, again, I procrastinated to start the show because I was like, well, everybody's doing different podcasts about reality TV or fashion and this and that and that and that and that. And are they going to really listen to a food podcast? Are they really going to like that? And then I had to stop and say, no, April, do not beat yourself up. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. You're going to do well. You're done. You're great. And that's another thing, new listeners. It was another reason why I decided to do all audio in the beginning. 38 episodes in, guys. And I'm just like, what am I doing? I have this beautiful face, right? Not to toot my own horn, guys. I love to crack jokes, by the way, but I have this beautiful voice, this beautiful face, this platform that I'm on. Why not get out there and get on video and show it, right? So here I am in the flesh, guys, once again. So welcome, 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 guys. But yes, great show coming for you. Like I said, embrace your weird, embrace your beautifulness, embrace everything about yourselves. Do not be afraid to step out on faith. If you have that business idea, if you want to start a podcast, if you want to create something, you have something to say. If you feel like you want to shout to the world, do it. Don't let anybody stop you, guys, because the longer that you procrastinate and the longer that you hide, like I did, or put it on hold, I brainstormed, I wrote everything down, and then I just put a hold to it. So don't do that. Don't do that to yourselves. Don't beat yourselves up is where I'm going with this. Embrace the weirdness. Be weird, be creative, because a lot of folk like that, believe it or not. And you're going to find so much joy in your heart, and you're going to feel so free and just happy like I do now since I've put it all out there. And I've been just going, guys. I took a break or two here and there since I've started this podcast show. But when I do that, I find myself a little rusty. I feel like I'm lost. Like when I took the break a few weeks ago here, I was like, oh my God, I can't do this again because you got to start all over and get in the groove of things. But let's do it, guys. Let's start that 21-day challenge. Let's embrace our weirdness. Let's love one another. Guys, be vulnerable with your wives, your girlfriends. Wives and girlfriends, be vulnerable with your husbands and your boyfriends. Be creative with your children. Love on them. Don't make them feel bad. Talk to them because they need us. They're our futures. And if we're ignoring them and just being this authoritative parent and my way or the highway, then that's when they go out and do crazy things, Especially me. When I was young, my mom was the same. She was an authoritative parent. She was a little lenient in certain areas that my dad was not. And we lived with our mom most of the time. So that created this insecurity, and I would be afraid to talk to her about certain things, and my daughter feels the same way. So now that I allowed her to express herself and be creative, she's starting to open up more. Isn't that great, guys? So do that for your family, do that for your kids. Gather around the table at dinner time, lunchtime, wherever you have that time, especially now during the summer before school starts. Talk to your kids, talk to your husbands, your wives. You never know what they're going through. And like I always say, you may be that saving grace for someone that's going through things mentally, physically, emotionally, and just need a hug and just need to be encouraged, guys. So yeah, just food for thought as always. But welcome to the show, guys. Great topic tonight. The flavor of tradition is what we're talking about tonight. Why food shapes our culture. And like I said, I definitely want to hear where you're from and what your, family or traditions and your cultures, how you guys interact with one another, the dishes that you've eaten and used. Let me know how you felt when you gathered at the table. And if you even gathered at the table with if there was a certain dish that your mom or dad cooked or they allowed you to help. I want to hear that, guys. I get so excited. I get so giddy. I like to hear other people's upbringings and their stories and how their lives went and what inspired them to be who they are and how it shaped them to be who they are today, right? So, yeah, so moving along here, like a lifestyle, you have your pen and paper, your notebooks, your computers. Open them up, guys. Lifestyle.sustainability is where we're at today. And the title of the article is What Role Does Culture Play in Food Preferences, guys? What role does culture play in food preferences? And new listeners are always try to find the latest articles, if I'm doing a solo show, by the way, that's relevant to the topic. So I thought this was pretty interesting. And if you find something else that you're interested in and see something better, share it with me, guys. I dibbled dabble, played around, but this one kind of caught my eye. So yeah, what role does culture play in food preferences is our topic tonight, guys. Well, food is far more than just sustenance. It is a fundamental aspect of human culture. They have it here in all caps. Remember that. Fundamental aspect of human culture, right? So from the moment we are born, our cultures begin shaping our palates, guys, dictating what we consider delicious, repulsive, or simply ordinary. These ingrained preferences are not arbitrary. They are deeply rooted in our history, environment, and social structures. So culture acts as a silent architect of our tastes. Interesting, right? Shaping our food choices from infancy and beyond. Now that I didn't know. That is an interesting fact that I learned today. And I don't know if any of you were familiar with that, but that kind of makes a lot of sense, especially with my children. What we feed them as infants or babies, they tend to, and not always, and I don't want to be, and I'm not an expert on this, I'm just going from the article, but I've noticed that some of my children continue to eat or have the eating habits that they had as infants. And some of it, it changes over time. With me, my food choices changed slightly as I became an adult because, and don't judge me, guys. Like I said, I am African American, Louisiana Creole. Yes, I love the chicken. I love the fried chicken and I love soul food. But chicken and strawberry is something that I've loved since I was a little girl. Anything that has strawberry flavor, or if it's grilled chicken, fried chicken, however you make it, I'm in love with it, guys. So yeah, I would say for me, yes, from infancy and beyond, I'm stuck with some of the food choices that I make today. But for others, you may not. Now, I did share in one of my episodes how I had a food aversion to pork. After having my eldest daughter, the 14-year-old daughter, I no longer craved or liked pork. Now, again, this goes back to my culture and tradition with my mom's household. She was a pork lover. So we would have the pork chops, the pork ribeyes, which I made. If you want to check out on one of my or all my social handles, pork ribeyes, that was the thing in my household when I lived with my mom. But for my household, we're not big pork lovers, but my in-laws, they love pork. So it's like, okay, I'm on this side of the fence or this side, right? And so yeah, like I said, it just depends on the individual and it depends on you, the person, right? You may like certain foods from your child, you may not. Now, my husband, on the other hand, he is traumatized, guys. His mom and dad, he said, fed them things that they were not so excited about, if you know what I mean. And if you bring it out to the table or if you buy some off-brand thing from the grocery store, he goes bananas. He gets upset. He thinks it's just the craziest thing. He's like, no, please, April, do not do that to our kids. Do not traumatize them. He has to have the finer things now, especially in food. I mean, with everything else, he's okay. But I didn't realize how, like I said, sometimes, or some things that we experience rather in childhood can scar us for life. Now, for me, I wouldn't say as much so much as food choices, but there were other things in my life that, as I became, in my childhood into adulthood, that I just despise. And I won't go into detail tonight, but it's not in food. I'll say that. So if you have that same problem, don't be so hard on your kids. Is where I'm going, guys. Think about the food choices that you make. We want to teach our children how to eat healthy, even though we have our customs and traditions with comfort food or certain foods from our upbringings in our culture. I think it's good to explore a little bit. What do you think, guys? I think it's good to explore beyond our traditions and beyond our cultures and show your children that it's more to life than just what you put on the table, right? So I think you should do that. I think, and I've started to do that. I experiment with the meals that I make for my family outside of work. I like to, show them dishes that are international, or make dishes rather that are international. For food groups, we do different types of meats if we're eating the meat, especially for me, because I love beef, chicken, I love seafood, and that's why my food delivery and catering is Coopie's American Cuisine and Seafood, because that's my culture. I love to make those type of foods, and everyone just enjoys it. Their stomachs are happy, guys. So yeah, but anyhow, that's where I'm going with that, guys, as far as food choices from infancy and beyond. So consider the staggering diversity of cuisines across the globe, like I just said, right? In some cultures, insects are a delicacy. I don't know if I can do that. And I had a guest speaker on the show. Was it Jay Rifle? Shout out Jay Rifle. He actually did a segment on that from the history of food, or I think that's what we were discussing. He's, spoke about how he ate insects in different cultures. Now, it's going to take a lot for me to do that, guys. Don't tell me it's an insect that I don't think I'll be able to eat it. But yeah, some cultures eat insects as a delicacy, while in others they are viewed with disgust, like in American culture. I mean, a lot of us care not to eat insects or rodents or whatever they're eating out there. Fermented foods, loved in many parts of Asia and Europe, might be considered unappetizing in other regions. So yeah, like I said, we all have our preferences, right? Now, this variation is a testament to culture's powerful influence, guys. It teaches us what is acceptable to eat, how to prepare it, and even when and with and whom to eat it with, guys. And this photo looks really great. It looks like some type of artwork, and looks like, I don't know, a certain dish, but it looks really great if you look it on with me. Now, early exposure and learned taste, guys. So our earliest food experiences are critical in establishing lifelong preferences. Babies begin to develop taste preferences even in the womb. Now, I find that to be very true. My eldest baby boy, Richard, that just had the fifth birthday, when I tell you guys, he would not allow me to eat anything in that first trimester. He wanted all the protein, the beef, the good stuff. And he's still like that until this day. Now, my baby boy, on the other hand, he wasn't as picky in the womb, but he's like mommy. He loves chicken, 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 chicken. Everything has to be protein, chicken, mashed potatoes. He's a healthy, chunky guy. He loves milk. But then we have the baby girl. Her taste buds are a little different, and my eldest daughter as well. So they like what they like. I mean, she'll eat anything, the baby girl. But I've noticed that she is not as much of a protein lover as the boy. So yeah, I agree with this wholeheartedly in this article, guys. So this early exposure creates a sense of familiarity, I'm sorry, and comfort with specific foods. So you have your childhood experiences that play a vital role with comfort and specific foods, right? And then we have familiar flavors that become associated with comfort and home, like I said before. So if your family is making noodle dishes, you're going to eat the noodle dishes. If your mom and dad made soul food, you're going to be familiar with that. And the list goes on, right? Now, cultural norms around food are often learned from a young age. Which is true. Like I said, if your family is, having you help prepare the meal or baking certain dishes, that's going to kind of stick, with you, right? So I totally agree with that. Now we have our social and familial influences, right? Food is rarely a solitary activity, guys. It is deeply intertwined with social interactions and family life. So family meals, celebrations, and community gatherings often revolve around food, right? Reinforcing cultural food norms. So what we eat, and with whom we eat becomes a marker of our identity and belonging. So children, oh God, children are so smart, right? They observe and they learn from their families and communities about what foods are valued and how they should be consumed, right? So imagine a family gathering. It says you have like your certain dishes might be prepared for specific holidays or events that are passed down through generations. So what comes to mind for me, because this is my also all the time favorite holiday, Thanksgiving, guys. Christmas is starting to become one, and the 4th of July. But for Thanksgiving, in my culture, in our tradition, African Americans, most of us do, we have the dressing, we do the cornbread dressing. A lot of us may make it with the gizzards and the gravy and everything. And then you have the other cultures where they're just making stuffing, the little stuffing in the little bag, which I hate, guys. I hate to say that word, but it's just disgusting. And then you have your turkey or your fried chicken or your whatever it is that you make. So yes, certain dishes may be prepared specifically for your holidays or events, which are passed down through generations. Then you have these traditions that reinforce cultural identity, right? And create emotional connections to food. So for me, my emotional connection to food is what? Chicken. I love sweets also. So my emotional connection is cookies and cakes and pies, which I'm trying to get back out of, guys. I'm trying to get away from because we're going to do this 21-day challenge, right? But yeah, I have emotional connections to food in that sense. The binge eating is also emotional, right? So if you're happy, you want something that makes you feel happy. So if that's chocolate cookies or chocolate chip cookies, chocolate cookies, what I bake for my son, red velvet cake with the vanilla icing, whatever it is that you like, ice cream, my favorite and my kids' favorite as well. Those are all emotional food choices. It's tied to our emotions, right? So now it's not just about, where we reinforce cultural identity and create emotional connections to food, but our preferences are not just individual choices either, guys. They are shared experiences that strengthen bonds, social bonds, and cultural continuity, guys. So that's some interesting stuff, right? Then you have your environmental factors and available resources. The environment plays a significant role in shaping culinary traditions. I agree on that wholeheartedly, but then, like I said, we don't want to be stereotypical and say, oh, because I grew up in the hood, I'm going to always eat fried chicken and drink Kool-Aid, right? And like I said, I don't want to ruffle any feathers on this, but I agree, but do not. I agree in some sense, but I do not, because we can always be removed from those environments, right? Yes, you may have lived in what they quote unquote say the hood as a child. And there's a lot of celebrities and stars that admit they were in those environments. But are they still eating those foods? Yes and no. So I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on that one. I don't know about you guys. I'll put it this way: if you continue to live in those type of environments, you may eat or have those food choices, right? But if you move to certain environments, in which we'll get into that here soon, I find that you may eat a little differently, right? So yeah, that plays a significant role in shaping our culinary traditions, right? So coastal communities might rely heavily on seafood, right? While inland regions might emphasize agriculture and livestock. So that's some interesting stuff. Then we have our climate, our soil type, and indigenous flora and fauna all influences what foods are accessible and consequently what develop, right? So consider differences between tropical and artistic cuisines, guys. Now, tropical regions with their abundance of fruits and vegetables have diets rich in plant-based foods. Now, I would love to live in a region like that. I am a fruit and vegetable lover, and my 5-year-old is as well. He'll eat apples and bananas and broccoli. I've never seen a kid that loves vegetables like Richard does, guys, but give me fruit and vegetables any day, and I am happy, right? So yeah, Arctic cultures, in contrast, traditionally rely on animal products due to the scarcity of vegetation, right? Now, these environmental constraints shape not only what is eaten, but also the methods of food preparation and preservation, guys. So that's our environmental factors and available resources. And all of this are what is tied into what shapes our cultures, right? All right, and then we have a little chart here. Now it gives your factors and then it gives the influence on food preferences. So early exposure, like they're stating here in the article before, creates your familiarity and comfort specific flavors. Then you have your social norms where it dictates acceptable foods and your behaviors, right? Then we have our environmental resources where it determines available ingredients and culinary adaptations, guys. Alrighty. All right, and moving along here, guys. And this photo of this grapefruit looks so juicy and delicious if you're looking on. So intermediate here, moving beyond the fundamentals, understanding the cultural role in food preference necessitates a deeper look into the mechanisms through which culture exerts an influence, guys. So it's not merely about exposure. It involves complex psychological, sociological, and anthropological factors that shape our tastes and eating habits. Culture provides a framework, a lens, guys, through which we perceive and interact with the world of food. I totally agree with that. We have our experiences, we have what we have on this side with our culture, but if we go out here in this humongous world, you're exposed to different cultures, different food, different customs, and when you come back, you're like, well, I guess it wasn't so bad after all, right? Now, for me, I haven't started traveling worldwide as of yet. I have visited other states and everything, but yes, guys, I've got to live a little. But, since having the three little ones, it's been pretty tough, for us to do the traveling. But I'm thinking, gosh, guys, of planning something big. If God says the same and blesses us with that, I would say in the next few years, the kids will all be school age and hopefully where they'll be able to behave. Because, when they're this age, they kind of act up. But I want to do that. I've had a guest speaker or two here that have out of the country. They've shared their food experiences, things that they've experienced, and it was really great. So yeah, got to think about that. But yeah, culture acts as a framework, influencing not just what we eat, but how we perceive and experience food, right? All right, so moving along here, guys. Now, the psychology of taste and cultural conditioning. Taste perception is not purely biological, it is significantly by cultural conditioning. So, while we are born with innate preferences for sweet and salty taste, aversion to bitter ones, right? And like I was saying earlier, I have food aversion to pork now. Now, I actually have started playing around with it. I'm just a teeny bit of love for it. But again, I've heard pork is not good for us. But hey, what is out here these days, right? Everything is pumped with hormones or have some type of additives that are not good for us. So, when I hear people say, oh, you're eating pork or bacon or pork chops, which I don't eat quite often, but, I kind of wrinkle my nose to them. So I'm like, think about the things that you're eating. You don't know everything that's what inside of what you're eating, right? A lot of you don't even read the labels. But anyhow, guys. So yeah, cultural conditioning works through repeated exposure and positive or negative reinforcement. So if a culture values a particular food, it is often associated with positive experiences like celebrations, family gatherings, associated with social acceptance. So conversely, foods considered taboo or low status may be associated with negative connotations. Like I said before, they're saying, oh, you must be poor, or, your family didn't have lots of money if you're drinking Kool-Aid or eating chicken or whatever it is that you found that's low, or not up to par or not up to speed or not in your bracket per se, right? So I agree with that. And then you have this conditioning process that starts early in life and continues to shape our food preferences through our adulthood, right? I totally agree with that. Some of it sticks with us as adults from our childhood, and some things we're just like, no, no, I don't want it. I don't like it. I don't care if my mom and my family still eat it. I'm not doing it. And then we have others that are, oh my God, I want to keep the tradition alive. I want to continue Big Mama and Mama's family tradition, and let's cook this on Sunday or whatever day you guys celebrate. Let's gather around the table. Let's have our big parties. Which I've said this in quite a few episodes. Statistics are saying now that it's only 50% of families that are still gathering around the table, guys, which is sad. Until we started social media and these cell phone devices and all this high technology, we really appreciated one another and love one another. And I want to get back into that space. I don't know about you guys, but I think it's so wonderful when you can gather around the table with your family and tell them how your day was and how everything went and how everything's going. It just brings that sense of love and connection, right? So I agree with that, guys. I agree very much so on that part of the article. Now, food is symbolic communication, guys. Now, food serves as a powerful medium for cultural communication, right? It conveys messages about our identity, our status, values, and beliefs. Now, certain foods become symbolic representations of cultural heritage, national identity, or religious beliefs. Okay, I understand that. Now, think of how pasta is synonymous with the Italian culture, right? Again, that's the stereotypical thing. We think if you're Italian, you eat pizza all day or eat spaghetti or lasagna, which is not true, right? But that's how we were conditioned with our history books and what we've heard or what we've been told. Don't get me wrong, guys. A lot of the cultural norms that some of the um, different cultures practice are actually true. But then, like I said, we have our Gen Z and our millennials that think totally different. Like, no, I'm not following this fad. I'm going to pop everything in the microwave. And then I did find some interesting information on the episode. That's not all true. The Gen Z are actually more healthy than the older generations, guys. So something to think about. And I don't want to get too into that. You can binge listen to the episode, guys. But they eat totally different from us. So I think that's a good thing, so I agree with that. Now, our dietary restrictions based on religious or ethnical backgrounds are another example of food's symbolic role. And food rituals and traditions further reinforce these symbolic meanings, strengthening culture, cohesion, and identity, right? So practices like vegetarianism in Hinduism or abstaining from pork in Islam and Judaism are not just about nutrition, guys. They are profound expressions of cultural and religious identity. I don't know, guys. I've even went so far as thinking about going that route. We always think about our family members around us, and are they really going to want to convert to these different type of Christianity or groups? No, they're not, right? So something to think about. So these dietary choices communicate adherence to a specific belief system and reinforce group belonging, guys. So yeah, this is really great. I'm having fun. I don't know about you, but I really feel good now about the cultural norms. Reading this article, I have a better understanding of, what's going on. And I hope you do as well. So yeah, anyhow, guys, moving along here. So cultural transmission and culinary evolution. Food preferences are not static, guys. They evolve over time through our cultural transmission and adaptation. Okay? So culinary traditions are passed down through generations, right? Often orally or through observation and participation. However, this transmission is not always a faithful reproduction. It is a dynamic process of innovation and adaptation, okay? So cultures borrow, adapt, transform culinary practices from other cultures, leading to culinary evolution and hybrid cuisines. I agree with that so much. Think about it, guys. We have now where you can visit certain type of establishments where they're doing buffet of foods from all cultures, or you have where they're mixing and matching everything. Now you may have American cuisine mixed with Spanish or Latin, or you have Latin mixed with African. That's very true. So I think it's great that we are out here expanding our horizons. We're experimenting with our food choices. We're getting to know the different cultures, right? So this is interesting. This is good stuff, right? So the rise of fusion cuisine exemplifies the culinary evolution, guys. Now, globalization and migration have accelerated the exchange of culinary ideas, which is awesome, right? Resulting in the blending of different culinary traditions. Fusion cuisine demonstrates how cultural interaction can enrich and diversify food preferences, guys, creating new and exciting culinary landscapes. Isn't that so wonderful, right? It's so wonderful and refreshing to know that we're just not sticking with our norms. We're not just doing what we normally do. We're out here exploring the world and different cultures and cuisines to make ourselves happy. Isn't that great? And I'm going to continue to do that. Like I said, I try to experiment with different foods and dishes at home and definitely with the food service, but sometimes you always have to think, inside the box or outside the box. Hey, I have this idea, I made this certain menu, but then you also want to explore because you don't want to keep it one-sided or boring. That's another thing I've been working on, just, changing up the menu a little bit here and getting a feel for what people actually enjoy eating and what they love. And I hope you do the same, So yeah. All right. So The psychological conditioning shapes taste perception beyond innate preferences, guys. Then we have our symbolic communication, where it uses food to convey cultural identity and values. And then you have your cultural transmission, ensures culinary evolution and adaptation, guys. All right. Now, in essence, culture acts as a complex and dynamic system that molds our food preferences at multiple levels, guys. So it's not merely a matter for convenience, but a deep-seated aspect of our identity, communication, and social fabric, understanding this intricate relationship is crucial for appreciating the diversity of human cuisines and the profound role food plays in our lives. And this photo looks really great. It looks like some crystals, beautiful jewels. And I know some of this is just artwork for the article, but think about it. Whomever wrote this article, that may be something that they're accustomed to, with their culture. Beautiful artwork and making the food scene look great, right? So on an academic level here in the article, guys, it says to truly grasp the academic depth of cultural's role in food preferences, we must consider perspectives, guys, from various disciplines, including anthropology, sociology, and nutritional psychology. Academic discourse reveals that culture's influence is not superficial, but rather a fundamental determinant, right? Shaping not just individual tastes, but also broader societal structures and even global health outcomes. The exploration extends beyond simple preferences to encompass the very essence of human existence and social organization. So academic perspectives show culture's influence on food preferences as a deep-seated and multifaceted phenomenon, guys. Isn't that great? That is some good stuff. Now, on an anthropological perspective on foodways, guys, anthropology offers rich insights into foodways, the cultural, social, and economic practices related to food production and consumption from an anthropological standpoint. Food is a central element of culture. So that's some good stuff. Something to think about, right? Reflecting social organization, belief systems, and environmental adaptations, guys. So, when we're approaching our cultures or food, visiting other people's homes, just always keep in mind they may have their certain customs, but we can also introduce them to our culture and traditions and customs and combine them together, right? Isn't that wonderful? So yeah, let's do that, guys. Let's make it a habit to not judge other people's cultures and traditions, but rather embrace it and bring them together, guys. I think that's some good stuff. It's really great, right? So the Claude Levi-Strauss's structural approach, for example, which highlights how culinary practices are organized around binary oppositions, guys, which is raw versus cooked, nature versus culture, that reflect fundamental cultural structures. This framework helps you understand how cultures categorize and classify foods, right? So assigning them specific meanings and values. Mary Douglas's work on food and symbolism further enriches anthropological understanding. So she argued that food categories and rules reflect broader social classifications and hierarchies, guys. Dietary laws and food taboos are not all arbitrary restrictions, but rather symbolic systems that reinforce social boundaries and cultural identity. So anthropological studies across diverse societies reveal that food preferences are deeply embedded in cultural belief systems and social practices, extending far beyond individual choice. Oh my gosh, guys, in this photo, I don't know who this person is, but it is so artistic. I can't tell if this is food art or what. Very artsy-dartsy. Very artsy-dartsy. It looks sort of like an ice cream photo, but it's artwork, right? All right, and then we have our sociological frameworks and food consumption section, guys. So sociology examines how social structures and institutions shape food consumption patterns, right? Pierre Bourdieu's concept of habitus is particularly relevant, suggesting that food preferences are part of a system of embodied dispositions shaped by social class and cultural capital, right? So taste in this view is not a neutral or individualistic phenomenon, but a socially constructed marker of distinction and social positioning. So different social groups develop distinct food preferences, guys, that reflect and reinforce their social identities and status. And that goes to show or say what we were talking or discussing earlier. You're in this part of the world and they may consider it low class or low income, and you're eating this type of food or this type of meal. But when you make it big and become a celebrity or well off, you're eating caviar and steak. And that's not always true, guys. So don't ever judge a book by its cover. I mean, For Pete's sakes, guys, Beyonce carries hot sauce in her purse. Michael Jackson had hot sauce when and I'm speaking of celebrities standpoint, they don't always want the caviar or the types of foods that are prepared. You want to live a little. You want to feel at home. You want to embrace your culture, remember that. So I totally understand where they're coming from on this, on the part of the article. But yeah, sociological research also explores the impact of globalization and modernization of food cultures, the increasing homogenization of food systems driven by multinational corporations and global food markets, guys. So this poses challenges to local food traditions and cultural diversity, which I can understand that because we're living in an age where everything's being mix and match. We have fermented foods. We have the fusion cuisine. Everything that we were discussing earlier. It's making it a little bit difficult for those embrace certain cultures and diversity, right? So yeah, sociological, like I said, research also explores the impact of globalization and modernization on food cultures. It also creates opportunities for cultural exchange and culinary innovation. Understanding these sociological dynamics is crucial for addressing issues of food security, cultural preservation, and social equity in a globalized world, guys. So yeah, this is some really good and interesting stuff. And like I said, these awesome food pics and artwork is so great on this article. So we have quite a bit more here. Like I always say, guys, when I'm doing the shows, I don't always read the entire articles when I'm doing the shows because it tends to get a little lengthy with it. You guys love me, I love you, but I don't like to go too far over time. But this has been some really great stuff. I've enjoyed learning about, what shapes our food cultures and our communities and the different ways we can learn and embrace and, reference this, guys. So yeah, really great stuff. But I've had so much fun today, guys. I hope you have as well. And if you enjoyed the episode, guys, please do not forget to like the episode, share this with your friends, your families, your coworkers. Go back and binge listen to all episodes from season 1 all the way up. Like I said, new listeners, I have just started virtual shows about 4 episodes ago. So the rest of the shows are all audio, but it's some really great stuff out there. Really great topics, really great guest speakers that came on the show you're going to enjoy. So go back and do that and just get a feel for the show. We talk about anything and everything surrounding with food. And some of the episodes, I definitely throw those recipes in there. And like I said, I was thinking about starting something new. I know a lot of you get excited about food and cooking and recipes. So I think I want to start maybe doing on one of the shows, either Wednesday or Sunday, maybe do a recipe of the day. I think that'll make that kind of fun, right? I don't know. Something to think about. If you guys feel the same, give me your suggestions. Get on those platforms, leave some comments. Let me know what you think. And also, if you are excited about the show, you think this is... I'm also on TikTok, Coopies.American. We have Instagram at Coopies, Coopies, catering and seafood. And YouTube, the platform that we're on tonight. YouTube is April Fontenot 9354. Let's Talk Food Podcast, guys. So be my guest. Don't be shy. If you'd like to collaborate and be on the show, please send me a DM or an email. I would love to have you on the show. And I'm pretty open to my guests. It's not about being a renowned chef or, you have to be a cook or have food. You can be an entrepreneur, art lover, science lover. I've had so many guest speakers in different sectors. That's what the show's about. So yeah, if you'd like to collaborate, let me know. And if you'd also like to leave or give me some recipe ideas, whatever it is that you'd like, guys, don't be shy. Put those comments out there, share the show, give me some feedback. I want to know what you think, guys, because that's what it's all about. And also, if you are thinking about starting your own podcast, have an idea, have your business going, and you want to shout it to the world, well, guess what, guys? Podbean is offering a 30-day free trial to get started. Podbean.com PB New is the link that you can click on any of my platforms to get the 30 days free on me and let the world hear you, guys. Dust off those microphones. You don't have to have a fancy studio, a fancy microphone. It just takes that one episode to go viral. So don't be shy, guys. 30 days free. Give it a try. If you are not satisfied or feel you want to go to other platforms, and I do the same, Podbean is lovely. I have so many great experiences from the AI. You can do, your interviews, have multiple guests. At one time, do live shows. Um, dibble and dabble, edit, add music. It's so many different features. But I also sometimes use other platforms as well because Podbean distributes it to every platform. Sometimes you can, play around with other platforms. But for me, Podbean is great, guys. I use it. I have gotten so many downloads by doing just audio. I'm being recognized and it's being out there, guys. So yeah, Podbean.com PP new. If you like to put your name out there, give it a try. 30 days free on me, guys. But this has been so great. I've had so much fun. I love talking about food. I love getting on this platform and bringing it to you guys. But I'm thinking about doing a live show here soon. Once the kids, get situated, the school year starting, everything gets going. I plan to have fun and do a live virtual show because I want to get to know you guys and I know you want to do the same. So we'll have that. Like I said, I have guest speakers I'm working on in the background for lineup for season 3. So don't worry if you're excited about that. I get excited on other platforms and podcasts when I hear guest speakers, and I know you do as well. And I love getting up here, but it's nothing like hearing other people's perspectives and seeing what they have to bring to the table, right? So we're going to do that. And guys, don't forget, love on one another, check on your loved ones, kiss those babies, get out there and celebrate your cultures and traditions, embrace it and share it with the world. Don't be afraid to step out on faith, guys. If you have an idea, if you love to cook, if you love to write books, if you're artsy dartsy like my daughter, do it, guys. Do not procrastinate any longer. Do what you gotta do because time is not waiting for anybody. Like they said, time waits for no man, right? Do that. And also, just be great, guys. I just love, encouraging others, like I said before, and making you feel good about not only food and recipes, but about your well-being and your health and family and friends. And don't be so hard on yourselves, guys. Love yourself. And ladies, like I said, we've got to love our bodies like we talked about on last episode. Do not beat yourselves up. Love you who you are. And if you don't like it, do something about it. And that's what we're going to do this 21-day challenge. Stop the binge eating. Take baby steps because it is hard. I'm finding it absolutely extremely hard with the sweets, guys. But once I find the right fruit and other substitutes to put in the home, because remember, I have kids, my husband, all they're eating differently, and it causes everyone in the home to eat that way. So I'm going to start a trend here in the home and try to get them to eat healthier, guys, so we can get on this 21-day challenge. But yeah, let's do that. Work it out. I want to hear some of your stories, your testimonials, and just feel good, guys. We're going to continue this week off with a bang, start strong, be happy, and just be in this great space. And if you're not in that space, like I said before, get in that circle. Find that friend, that prayer group, that church circle, that women's group, that men's group, the food group or circle or organization. Read some books. Find some podcasts and of course listen to my podcast. I love it, but yeah, of course I listen to other podcasts as well. But if you meditate, use the insight timer, like I said before, Calm app. Just do what you can, guys, to stay level headed above water, and just surf through life, guys. We have so much happening right now in the world that's distracting us from what we are called here to be. So don't forget that, guys. Be great. Have a great weekend. And like I said, new listeners, if you're new to the show, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, faithful listeners, for always tuning in and making the Let's Talk Food podcast what it is. And I'm going to continue to do this, guys. I have a lot of work to do, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling froggy. And I'm going to continue to get out here and spread the word, guys. And hopefully next episode, like I said, I'll start this new thing. We'll do some recipes for the day or the week or whatever. Make it kind of fun, and you can share yours as well. But let's do that, guys. Let's have a great rest of the week and be true to yourselves, love yourselves, and lend a helping hand and make people feel good. Don't be so negative. And if you see negative things, if that's your thing, I can't stray you away, but I'm here to help, like I said, and I like to bring it, bring the positive vibes, bring the positive things. But let's do that and just have a great week. And I will be back for next show on Sunday, guys. Continue to celebrate with my baby boy Richard. We're having so much fun. He just turned 5, and summer's still here. My husband's on vacation, so have a lot of fun things going. But you do the same. If you're still on vacation, have fun because school's starting and we got to get back to work, right, guys? But I've had so much fun. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am seeing you guys, and Guys, I am so excited. I took a look at the analytics. I want to give a shout out to Hong Kong, and Singapore and Sweden, guys, are added to the list. So if you're watching virtual or you're listening to the show, thank you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in and being faithful listeners now. And I hope that you continue to do that. I'm going to continue to do my best to bring the great topics and great content so we can make this show a success, right? But I see you out there, guys, and everyone in the States. Thank you so much for tuning in. I've had a great time, and I will be back, guys. And like I always say, if there's some interruption or I can't do the show on time, I'll definitely hop on that platform and let you know. But thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I've had a fun time today. I'll be back. New listeners, the show is every Wednesday and Sunday, just to give you an idea of when to tune in. And if you can't make it on those days, believe me, guys, everything is there. Everything's in the show notes. All of my information, all of the references that I speak about on every episode is all there for you guys. But check out my social handles. Check me out if you're not watching virtual on YouTube. And let me know what you think. Give me some ideas. Share your feedback. Don't be too hard on me, guys. Don't be too mean. I need to know if you are enjoying the show. I'm getting the downloads, like I said, but I want to get a feel for you guys. I want to know who you are. So let's continue to work on that. Like the episodes, share the show, and let's make the Let's Talk Food podcast a success. But you guys have a great day out there. Continue to work out, eat healthy, be safe, and love yourselves, guys. Until then, you have been listening to the Let's Talk Food podcast. I'm your host, April Fontenot. Peace, light, and love. Have a good one. Talk to you later, guys. Bye.